versus Joshua Van. Um, okay, let me fix this. So sorry about that. Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. Mm, I think this is a tricky one. Tweezy Rich, welcome to the stream, my guy. Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van is a bit of a tricky one. Because without looking at their record and who they've respectively fought, I I genuinely feel like Bruno Silva is one of the most underrated fighters in the flyweight division. Tweezy Rich, I am weirdly worried Van gets finished out of nowhere. Silva is a legit finish artist. I mean, I'll go through that. I'll break that down. Wamai, welcome to the stream. Hello, good to see you after I rage left after the recent Tutorial scam. I'm glad you're back. Tweezy Rich, I mean, Van gets rocked every fight. I think Van wins until he gets finished. Yeah, potentially. So here's my thoughts on this particular fight, right? My thing, and that's basically what I wanted to say. I think either two things are true. Either Manil Kab is not as good as we think he is. Well, a part of me feels like his last fight was good, but previously he hasn't looked that great. But the point I'm trying to make is that either Manil Kab is really talented or Manil Kab is trash. The reason I say this is because Bruno Silva was making it difficult for Manel Cap in that fight. There was a part of me that actually thought, damn, is Bruno Silva actually going to win this one? This basically highlights how good he is. And I genuinely Cap is a minus 300 to Royval right now. Damn, that's crazy. So I agree with Tweezy Rich as far as Bruno Silva being a dangerous contender. Obviously, my subscribers and I have picked Joshua Van. I think Joshua Van, and I've said this for a very long time. I think Joshua Van is one of the most talented people in the flyweight division. Um, I think it's unfortunate that he's so undersized, even for flyweight. But nonetheless, if people like what do you call him? No, I don't want to say Mokaev. I mean, there are smaller guys. Oh, Kai Kara France. If people like Kai Kara France can have success, I mean, Joshua Van should be able to have success, even though I haven't really compared their actual height. But nonetheless, I genuinely feel like Joshua Van is one of those two fighters who might have the ability to eventually become a champion in the division. Um, but he needs to be able to deal with range or height because the last two. What's his name? Johnson. I want to actually remember his full name. Um, the last two. Oh, so he fought Ray Turuya. He fought Cody Durden and won. Fought Edgar Chairez and won. This was an incredible fight, though. Yes, thank you, Amai. So the loss to Charles Johnson, I feel like I credited more to reach advantage as opposed to skill. But nonetheless, it was a loss, right? He needs to be able to deal with fighters like that. And the best way to deal with fighters with a lot of range is to do what Daniel Cormier did. Daniel Cormier should have been fighting at middleweight or even, okay, maybe welterweight. He might not have made it, but I genuinely think he was fighting two divisions up his actual division. But because he was such an elite wrestler, it made it easy for him to have success against people who are taller than him, people who have more range than him. Right. So I think that's what Joshua Van needs to do, but that's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make is, I genuinely feel like Joshua Van is one of the most talented prospect, or rather the most talented contenders, because he's no longer a prospect. He's ranked number 14, so he's no longer a prospect. He's a contender right now. So I think he's one of the most talented contenders. And I honestly don't know. That's one of the reasons why I'm so worried about this particular fight. But the mere fact that he was able to have success, and this is basically what I'm talking about. Shawshat McGee, I'll reply to you, my guy. This is one of the things I was basically speaking about. When you look at the fight with Edgar Chairez, it shows that he's been trying to improve his ability to fight the rangier fighters. But obviously, Edgar Chairez had moments whereby I was a little bit worried. But obviously, Chairez has a finishing ability. Wow, a lot of my people are online. Tweezy Rage, Renier the Rizla, Shot McGee, the whole team, Wamai. I mean, yeah, this is a party, a reunion. Glad all of you are here. I'll respond to everyone. You know, guys, I always respond. I'm not even saying the right words. I always respond. So yeah, the fight that's scaring me is the fight between Manel Kape um and Bruno Silva. But let's actually get to the actual breakdown of the fight, and then I will try to respond to every single one of you. Before I go to the next fight, I don't want to make these too long. Lately, I've been making them almost 30 minutes, which I feel like is unnecessary for one fight. So as far as reach, I don't feel like either of them. Yeah, they have the same basically reach, so there's not gonna be anyone with a reach advantage. Bruno Silva is more of a finisher than yeah. Bruno Silva is more of a finisher than Joshua Van. Bruno Silva has a 71% finishing rate. Joshua Van has a 62% finishing rate. Um, not not a massive difference, but still, it's a difference nonetheless. Volume, Joshua Van throws significantly more, like significantly, probably almost 3 times more than Bruno Silva, and I feel like that's probably going to be the deciding factor as far as who wins. And as far as defense, I mean, obviously when you throw as much as Joshua Van, you're bound to get hit there and there. But the defensive striking, both of them, I just feel like they're more or less on the same level. But obviously because Bruno Silva does not throw as much as Joshua Van, his defense looks a little bit better. But it's purely, in my opinion, it's mainly because of inactivity during fights. So he doesn't throw as much as Joshua Van. Joshua Van throws a lot. Technical striking, I genuinely think both of them are really good, but if I had to pick one, obviously I'm going to go with Joshua Van. I think he's the more technically better at striking. And so, in conclusion, on the feed, there's no reach advantage. Obviously, Bruno Silva has that power to actually finish the fight. However, if Edgar Chairez couldn't do it, I feel like Joshua. It takes someone with range for me to be a little bit worried for Joshua Van. That's why I say I think Joshua Van is one of the most talented contenders in the flyweight division. So I think it takes someone with a bit of range, some type of an advantage, in order to beat Joshua Van, and he did pretty well against Edgar Chairez. So I don't see Bruno Silva doing any better than Edgar Chairez. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But for me personally, on the feet, I feel like Joshua Van is more technically better at striking. He has 3 times more the volume. Defensively, both of them, in my opinion, are more or less on the same level. But I would favor Joshua Van a little bit more defensively as far as the striking goes. Grappling wise, I could see Joshua Van having a lot of success on the ground. His entries are a little bit better than Bruno Silva. He has pretty decent takedown defense. So I honestly can see Joshua Van having success on the ground if he wants the fight to go there. So with that being said, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm confident, especially because of what I saw between Manil Kab and Bruno Silva. But a lot of non-talented people have the ability to actually have competitive fight with Manel Kape. Who's the other guy? Let me actually check. I forgot his name. The guy with the blonde hair who trains at Shoot Their Box. The dude was coming in, was debuting, and he actually had a pretty competitive fight with Manel Kape. So maybe it's not that Bruno Silva. Okay, let me not trash him, but I need to highlight this in order to make sure that even though I'm worried, I need to highlight this. Um, what's his name? Felipe Dos Santos. Yes, it's Felipe Dos Santos. Felipe Dos Santos came in on short notice and made us think he's a talented prospect, you know, because of Manel Cab. So that's another thing to actually consider. That Manel Cab at some point made us think Felipe Dos Santos is a talented prospect because he came in on short notice and was giving Manel Cab a run for his money. So I mean, we need to consider that. Anyway, my subscribers and I are going with Joshua Van. I still feel like Bruno Silva is a dangerous contender or rather opponent. So I'm not gonna say I'm confident about this particular fight. Let me respond to you guys so that I can go to the next fight. Tuesday Rich, I remember Cody Durden avoiding the ground game of Silva like lava too, but I think Van is way better. Um, minute minute winner of the feed, to be honest. Okay. Well, my damn, I think Cup versus Royval is a coin toss. Yeah, in all honesty, I feel like Royval is a little bit better. I think this is an opportunity for Manel Cup to actually prove me wrong because I'm not as high as people are on him. Well, my Charles, yes, thank you for that. Shoshot McGee, this is the only person in the division smaller than Van. Lock it in, boys. Van all day. Shoshot McGee, Van will be champ in 2027. Highly possible. Rene there is a lot. Agreed. He will be champ one day. 100% I agree. Tuesday Rich, Van will need a chin to be champ. I mean, I mean, the performance against Edgar Shires was pretty impressive in my opinion. Shoshot McGee, the guy was 22 and got rocked. So now he has no chin, and Johnson is the strangest guy in the whole division. I agree, man. I felt like that was a weird type of fight. I think probably that was the first time he has fought someone that rangy. He didn't know how to deal with it, or he didn't have the tools in his arsenal to actually deal with. I don't know if I said that right. Anyway, um, I feel like he didn't know how to deal with that. He never trained for anything like that, in my opinion. So I think to see that he's trying to improve that aspect. I mean, the performance against Edgar Chairez, because Edgar Chairez has like a long reach. Even though he was touching him up, I feel like Joshua Van did pretty well. Obviously, he won the fight. Um, Tweezy Rich, bro, it's Charles Johnson. LOL. Who does he? Bro, it's Charles Johnson. LOL. Who does he KO? Tweezy Rich, I don't care if he's 10. Shout out Mickey. Longest. Joshua McGee, okay, brother. Joshua McGee, Islam also got KO'd in the UFC. Look at him. Good point. Tuesday Rich got it. Shot McGee. Young fighters make mistakes. I agree, man. Tuesday Rich, bro. Shira's almost put him out. I agree. And that's why I was like, the fight against Edgar Chairez, the mere fact that he won is a good sign because I think the reason that he lost to Charles Johnson is the same reason that he was rocked by Edgar Chairez. That's all I'm saying, right? Shoshot McGee. It was 2 months turnaround after getting KO'd by Johnson. It might have even been less than that. The Tweezy Rich, that's on him, but you can watch back all his fights. He gets rocked every almost every time. Just the last fight he smoked the Asian dude. Okay, Tweezy Rich, Felipe Dos Santos. Thank you. Twizy Rich, ready to do your best win as Carlos Hernandez, man. Twizy Rich, I still think Felipe is talented, but he has no ground game. He only loses when he gets mauled. I guess maybe the striking was so impressive that, especially because Manel Cap didn't even try to take the fight to the ground. Shoshat McGee, when you have to pick apart the victories, he's um do you know he's doing good and still so young? Keep your eyes on him, brother. Yeah. God, bro, zoom out a little. You're too close. I mean, um, this is how it's gonna be up until I find a way to actually change it. Um, oh, you want me to do this? Anyway, there's no zooming out. There a zoom here? It's only volume. Um, Charles Dubronx. You're gonna hurt your eyes. How? I have to read the comments, man. This is the only way I can read the comments. Charles Dubronx. Van is talented for his age, but I don't know about the champ, man. I agree. But for me personally, I genuinely think he has the ability to become a champion. But I honestly can respect your apprehension, especially after losing to Charles Johnson. I still think he needs to prove himself, but I think he has the skills to actually do it. God's yes, brother, that was good. Um, Rich, he's gonna need to get some crazy defense out of nowhere. Best UFC fighter according to you, I want to say Hamza Chimaev, but because of all-roundedness, I'm going to say Islam Makhachev. Um, yeah, I'd say Islam Makhachev. John Jones is past his prime. I haven't seen enough from Tom Aspinall, so yeah, at the top of my list, I'm not gonna count John Jones. He's basically retired. So yeah, I'll say Islam Makhachev, maybe followed by um, what do you call him, Hamza Chimaev. Man, Jones can win that fight though. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Jones has a shot at actually winning that fight. I've been saying this for a while though. I've been saying this for a while. I think a lot of people. That's why I think I remember making an example, and I was like, for me, Jones versus Aspinall is like Islam Makhachev fighting Hamza Chimaev. Jones for me is Hamza Chimaev. I think Jones has elite level wrestling. He has an insane amount of IQ, so I think he's gonna do exceptionally well on the ground. Um, and Aspinall for me is as Islam Makhachev, well rounded, but I don't, as far as grappling goes. If you ask me who's gonna win a grappling match between Tom Aspinall and John Jones, I'm going to say John Jones. So yeah. Guys, I have two other fights to break down. You guys always make me get off topic, but I know I promised you guys a stream for this specifically, and I didn't. But you guys don't join the watch alongs. Okay, Wamai, Tweezy sometimes, and Wamai also sometimes. The people who are constant on the watch alongs are Shoshot McGee and Renier the Lord. So that's when you should be asking me these questions. But yeah, I'll try to answer them as much as I can. Bro, I say Demetrius is the best fighter. Nah, man. Nah. He's good. He's one of the greatest of all time, but I wouldn't put him as far as not what he has achieved. I'm talking about skill for skill. I wouldn't put him at the top. Wamai Aspinall more the most dangerous. Okay, that's fair. Tweezy Rich, Tom's only subbed Volkov. People are acting like Tom is all of a sudden Islam. I mean, for me, I was giving him props. I haven't seen enough from Tom Aspinall, unfortunately. Tweezy Rich, Tom's not gonna. Um, Tom's not that proven on the ground. I agree. I haven't seen enough from him. Um, Shot McGee, there's a better chance of me finding John Jones than John Jones fighting. Oh, Tom Aspinall at this point. Look how send out John is in Thailand. He's not going to heavyweight again. Well, those slow ass punches from Jones versus Stipe showed me Aspinall wins round one. John Jones is one of the most smartest, irrespective of how you might feel about him. He's one of the most smartest fighters in the UFC. Why do you think he immediately wanted to wrestle with Cyril Gahn and didn't do the same thing with Stipe? And even though like John Jones was having success with the takedowns against Stipe, he knew he wasn't in a lot of danger. That's why he was doing that. He just wanted to basically allow himself to feel his body at heavyweight. John Jones' punches were not slow in the fight against Stipe only. They were slow against Tom Aspinall. However long it lasted, go back and watch that fight. I even in my breakdowns when I was breaking down Stipe versus Jones, I even said this. I was like, I'm worried because I think Stipe might have a shot because John Jones's punches were flipping slow, right? But John Jones actually did that because he was like, I mean, there's no danger here. That's why he decided to strike. It's not because John Jones couldn't wrestle Stipe. He knew Stipe is older than me, so I should be able to beat him on the feet. He wanted to basically, for him, it was like, what do they call it? A trial run for some, for lack of a better word. It was a trial run. It's sad to say, but I mean, he knew Stipe is older than him. He's not going to be faster than him. So he had that confidence. He's not going to strike with Tom Aspinall, believe me. He's not going to strike with Tom Aspinall. Twizy Richard, true Mickey. Shashat McGee, John is way too skinny in Thailand to be making heavyweight anytime soon. I think it's for December or early next year when the UFC goes to Netflix, I think. Hopefully that's not the case. God's Jones has everything. Aspinall is too quick. Is too quick though, but he hasn't gone past round one. Yeah, Tuesday Rich, I'm more likely gonna find John Jones lady boy right now in Thailand. Joshua Mickey, lol. Well, mine. Yeah, it's better to get off topic when you gotta watch unranked MMA flyweights go to decision. That's DJ did a flying armbar, bro. Show me any fighter who can do that. Islam Mahashev might not have a flying armbar, but did you see the submission against what do you call him, Dustin Poirier? That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen because it's so it requires so much skill to even think about that, not just to execute it. Obviously, because if you've thought about it, maybe you might be any talented fighter maybe might be able to execute that. But how he sets up what he wants to do is special. It's not just about skill. It's about setups. It's about technical ability, the fight IQ to know. Okay, I can strike with this guy. I need to mix it up with this guy. I need to wrestle with this guy. Like I mean, it's just. I get what you're saying though. Tweezy Rich, LOL. I typed that before you said Islam versus Chimaev. With that, I just mean that people act like he's crazy ground. He has a crazy ground game. I agree. John Jones usually plays into other person's game like the Stipe fight. Yeah, that's basically what I said. I felt like Jones did that just to test out his body at heavyweight. He didn't. He wouldn't have done that against a striker. Look at what he did to Cyril Gahn. But Gahn fight, he knew he should just get to the takedown. Yeah, but obviously he was worried about the striking. Um, Short McGee, I bet my life John only weighs it 225 to 230. Oh my, I think Aspinall looks so strong, and and the fact it only takes one punch from him makes me think he'll win. I think Aspinall is faster too. Yeah, he is, and I agree with you. Tuesday Rich 100%. He decided to get some minutes in the octagon on the feet versus Stipe. Yeah, it was a decision to stand. It's not like he couldn't take him down. While my S Aspinall said, try take me past round one. I guess we'll see. Guys, DJ trained with Dagestani crew. DJ was still better than them. Okay. Well, my DJ was also fighting legit cat. I don't know how to respond to that. John Jones getting to make heavyweight this year. He's got boys. Rooster, sub dude, a safe pick for this one over 2.5. Maybe, maybe it's hard to say because I can see Bruno Silva shocking all of us and finding the finish. I can also see Joshua Van winning this fight via finish, but I mean it's flyweight. Both of them I feel like are pretty decent, and I think Manel Cab was only able to finish Bruno Silva because he cheated a lot. He was poking him in the eyes, so I don't know. I think Bruno Silva is good enough to actually get to a decision. I think Almeida's a decent challenge for Aspinall one day, man. I mean, he made the Blades look like a can on the ground until he didn't. No, I genuinely think Blades has an IQ issue. I think Blades lost because of an IQ issue. He likes to do that. Like for example, knowing you are a good grappler and going in there and striking with Sergey Pavlovich. Like he likes to make stupid decisions. I don't think Almeida's too small. I think Almeida should be fighting a light heavyweight or maybe even middleweight. Right? I feel like Tom Aspinall is just going to do whatever he wants with him. I think if his takedown defense is good enough. Well, my once upon a year first. I have two more fights to break down. You guys are making the stream too long. Twizy Rich Blaze just got no chin left, man, and the IQ. I agree, guys. I have two more fights to break down. If you want to join me, let's go there. Until then, deuces. Join the watch along, guys. These questions should be asked on the watch along. You guys only join here and then you ask questions during breakdowns. When during watch alongs, there are moments whereby we're not even saying much. So join the watch alongs and then let's actually have these conversations then. Let's go to the next fight. Deuces.